So I'm Julie, and I'm a major gift strategist and coach to the very best. Okay. Life's too short to have sucky clients. You know what I'm saying? Life's too short to have sucky donors. um, and I'm based in Los Angeles. I'm originally from Houston, so you'll hear a little bit of that spice. Okay, because that's where I'm from. Born and raised. And I have been doing major gifts in Los Angeles and really all over the world and all over the country in the US. And I've had amazing clients for the last 14 years. And just this year, I was like, how many major donor meetings have I been on? You know, I was like doing the math in my career. It's over 1,000. 1,000 would be conservative. How many like one-to-one donor meetings, or like me and the CEO, me and a board member, me and a colleague? So I've had a lot of reps. You hearing me? Put that in the chat. A lot of reps. So many. All the reps. So whatever it is, I probably screwed up worse than you have. Okay. And I probably maybe raised more money too. Last year I worked for a news story, and I was a strategist for them and raised 2.5 million last year from individuals, unrestricted dollars, general operating support. Give me that money. You know what I'm saying? We're here for the general operating support. So that's what I'm all about. I'm all about courage. Some of you don't need a better plan. You might need some more tactics, and I'm going to help you with that today. You don't need a fancy strategy. You don't need to pay some consultant to write fancy words on a page and show to your board and make you feel really good about yourself that you don't actually know how to implement. You hear what I'm saying? You don't need that. What you need is guts. You need to sit across from people and have the courage to reach out to them, to build relationships, to connect as human beings. Are you with me? Put yes in the chat. Build relationships. That is your job, period. It's not collecting corporate logos for the website and the gala and the blah, 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 and all the stupid admin crap that we get bogged down on because we're afraid. We're afraid to sit across from people and talk to them about giving real money. I've seen this so many times. I've been that person, so I know. So there's no judgment here, okay? It's all good. I've been afraid. I know that so many of us are. And so that my whole business, my whole life's work is about building a more courageous generation. Like, we need to be bold. We need to be courageous. We need to get real about the capital it's going to take to transform our world. Yes? So we're not going to be apologetic about, would you consider giving $10,000? You know, it's like, no, look, we know that what we're doing is powerful, it's effective. And so we're going to have real, candid conversations with people who care, the right people, and raise a shit ton of money, right? Am I right? And then go take that vacation, take some time off. I'm all about sustainability. I do not believe in burnout. I do not believe that you need to burn both ends of the candle. Isn't that what the phrase is? We have so many phrases for burnout. We have so much language to describe the place beyond exhaustion. And so that's what I'm all about, is how can we do this in a way that is relationally intelligent, where you're enjoying your life and you're raising a lot of money in record time. Some people will tell you, Sarah, it's going to take, 5 years to raise that $1 million gift. The best, let's just try to get our marketing and our website and everything so that we can just get that Mackenzie Bezos money, Mackenzie Scott. We just need her to notice us. If you actually build relationships with the people that you have and you understand why they give, you will raise so much more in record time. It doesn't need to take 5 years, right? Because Major Gifts is about building relationships with people who are mission aligned, who are passionate, who are in, right? You build that trust with them. And that's really the most important factor. It's less about their capacity. That's important. But so often we get so distracted by rich people who have no intent of giving you more than $5,000. Do you hear what I'm saying? But you're like, oh, they're rich though. I need to get a meeting with them. I'm going to like hound them. And they're like, yeah, here's 5K. Here you go. What's more important is finding the people who are already on the mission that you're on and then connecting with them, right? Building relationships with them. And what will happen is if you do a great job with those folks, they'll start talking about you to their network. They'll start organically introduce, hey, I loved your annual report. I want to introduce you to these people. They need to be funding you. When you provide that really great experience for them, they start doing that. So this is about December. And I want to start off with encouraging you that you're probably doing better than you think. Put that in the chat. I'm doing better than I think. You need that reminder, take it. Fundraising is tough. Yes, yes, yes. Good. So just receive that. Take a deep breath. Have a sip of your drink. Join me. I'm drinking some tea. You're likely doing better than you think. Yes. That's right. And in December, it's a big tactic that I want you to keep in mind is just following up with people who already made a promise and maybe they haven't followed through on that. So a tactic that I love to do this time of year is like go through my donor database, my portfolio, anybody who's given really over $1,000 and look through like, who do I need to touch base with and just say season's greetings, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever it might be. And who are the people who, if I look through my inbox, if I look through my CRM, they have said, hey, Margaret, let me know what you need. Hey, John, love what you're doing. Love to help, or maybe they actually made a pledge. Maybe they said, you know what, Matt, I'm going to give 5K, touch base with me in December, or whatever it is. Even if it was an offer of help, if they said, love what you're up to, Leslie, let me know what you need, then follow up with those people and arrive at the point. I'm not inviting you to send a really long email inundating them with a bunch of information. Like, get to the point and say, hey, you know what, Daniel, you offered to help earlier this year in April. I like to recall, or if it was the spring, if you don't remember the exact month, that's totally fine. The first half of this year, you said like you'd love to get more involved, or you said you'd love to help somehow. And the help that we need is we need financial support. If you listen to my podcast, if you've come to any of my talks, you know that I say this over and over again. Love what you're up to. What do you need? Let me know how I can help. Let me know how I can get involved. And some of you are like, oh, we have this volunteer event. Oh, let me make a volunteer role for you and like break my back so that you can be involved. Oh my gosh, please don't do that. Don't lie to nobody. Okay. We are not liars. Put it in the chat. We tell the truth. We tell the truth. You know what we need? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We need financial support. I don't need to make a volunteer job for you. Do you need that? Because I don't. I'm like, great. So, and I would keep it impact focused, goal focused, whatever it is. If it's somebody you have a relationship with and you know that they're bought into the mission, hey, our goal for December is 200K. This is how far we are towards that goal. Would you consider giving 10K? Since you offered to help, that's the help we need. Even if they come back and they say, you know what, Mirla, I can't do 10K, but I'll do 5. Great. And that's a super successful email. That's a 5K email. Don't overlook it, right? So top tip would be follow up with people who offered to help you and collect on that help and educate them on the help that you actually need, which is financial support. Or even if like you collect the corporate match from your board members, from your supporter, hey, you haven't, this would require you to actually track this, right? So, this many companies typically have corporate matches. There's an email that I've written all about this that I'll share with you all. But it's basically like, hey, here's an easy thing for you to do. Activate your corporate match, leverage that, give that to us this month. We love your help. That's the help we need right now. Let people know what you need. If they made a promise, follow up on it. Remind them of what they said. Remind them of what they said. So if a board member said, oh, I'm going to introduce you guys to this funder, or I'm going to, we need to get lunch with this person. Even if they didn't say, I'm going to do this, right? But they're like, Matt, here's what we need to do. We need to get in front of this person. Great, time to collect on that. Very simple thing to do. And when people intend to do something, following up with them and reminding them is customer service. It is not an intrusion. It is not unwelcome or rude or presumptuous. They literally offered it. It's their job to say what they can and can't do. It's your job to remind them and follow up. What are you hearing? Put it in the chat. What's standing out to you? Let's check in. I want to make sure you're listening. John says, following up with the customer service. What? Yeah, it's just good customer service, baby. Follow up with the promises. Yes, yes, yes. Use December to follow up and remind. Yes. Hey, I know that you told me you're planning on giving 12K this year. You could even say, I've even said this. I'm like, there's only 11 business days left in the year. So I want to do everything in my power to assist you in making your gift. Quote me. Go ahead. Use it. Copy paste, baby. It's all good. They'll be like, oh, great. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank you, Risa. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Yes. Follow up, ask directly, clearly, be honest, follow up. Don't twist yourself into a pretzel trying not to ask for money. Yeah. Matt, you better come with the truth right here. What about the donors that are giving less than previous years? How do I talk with them? You know what's awesome? I learned this from my friend, Erica Carley, who was at the head of growth at Chive Charities. And they had a 98% retention rate with their monthly donor campaign. Okay. So are you listening? Because you should be. And they would do this handwritten note when someone lowered their gift. Lowered it. We don't have time to do that, do we? Don't have time. And this is why 98% retention. A handwritten note that said, thank you for sticking with us. Talk about loyalty. Talk about lifetime value of a donor. Hello. Yeah. So I think the way that you handle, quote, rejection, as we like to call it, or people downgrading their gift, it says so much about your team, your culture, your organization. If you're trustworthy, if you actually care about people as whole human beings. And they see that. I had a client who we asked one of their largest donors, known philanthropist in Southern California. I ain't going to say their name. Okay. And we asked them for, I think, 1.2 million. And they said no. Oh. And they were giving six figures previous. I think they were giving a low six-figure gift. And they said no. And then my client, of course, was super gracious. They're like, hey, completely understand. Thank you so much. You know, we love being in partnership with you. We're grateful for all that you've done. We're still going to keep you in the loop about what's going on. Is that fine? Yeah, great. They run into each other at an event, and the donor comes up to my client and says, hey, so I just want to tell you how grateful I am for how gracious you've been, that even though we turned you guys down, because we give to a lot of places. And as soon as we say no, the relationship gets awkward. People ice us out. They don't want to talk to us anymore. They don't want to communicate. They act really weird. It gets so weird. And these people we thought were our friends. And they said, but the way that you responded to us declining, because we can't give everywhere, we have a limited amount of funds. The way that you responded, we just felt so cared for. So thank you. And then guess who got $1 million 18 months later from that donor? My client. So, you know, the way in which you can gracefully handle where people are because you actually care about them and not just their money goes such a long way. It pays dividends, yes, in revenue. It's also just the right thing to do. But yeah, reach out to them. I think it's a fabulous question, Shireen, and say, hey, acknowledge what you see. I noticed that you lowered your gift, and I just want to say thank you for sticking with us. Imagine if you said that. And pause, let them respond to that. Don't say anything else. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, well, we love giving and we wish we could do more. And here's the reasons why. Our aging parents we move them into a home. And so we're now footing the bill for all of these medical expenses that we didn't anticipate and blah, blah, blah. They're just going to tell you, you know? It's a huge opportunity to build a relationship. Are you hearing that? Like all of this is fodder for relationship building, every part of it. When people don't respond, you could just reach out to them in other ways. I message people on LinkedIn. If I don't hear from them, I text them from my personal phone. It's up to you what you want to do, right? I'm not saying you should do that or you have to do that. I'm saying that that's what worked for me. So yeah, I would just reach out and I would acknowledge it. Or if let's say they pledge something and they haven't come through on that pledge, address it. Hey, you pledged 12K in May. I'm following up to make sure that you complete your donation. Don't act like this. It's too late in the game to act like you're also collecting their RSVP for something you don't care about. Okay. No, you're here to actually find out, are they going to give their gift or not? This is the time to get the answer. And if they say, hey, you know what? Vanya, it's changed and I can't actually do what I said and I feel terrible. Thank you so much for following up with me. Can we please talk in January? And then you can move on with your life. You see? And then you put in your calendar, okay, I'm going to follow up with them in January. What are you hearing? Write it in the chat. What are your notes? Nat says, as a person who has given over 50 separate individual gifts, I got exactly one handwritten note this year. Yeah. Because we don't have time, do we? We talk about it, we don't have time. Yes, Jessica, move on with my life. Love it. It's more about the relationship than the money. Yes, John. Yes, John. Yes. The real treasure in life is people. Do you hear me? And when you actually give a shit about them, they will open up so many things for you beyond money. Do you hear what I'm saying? And I know this. When they're really proud to be associated with your organization because you report back to them the difference that it makes, they will go far for you. They will roll up their sleeves. We all ask our board members and our most loyal support, hey, can you introduce us to people in your network? Don't we? We all ask that. Why don't people do it? Why don't they? Why do you think that is? This isn't hypothetical. Put it in the chat. Why do you think people don't do it? And I'll tell you what I think. It's like, you know what it is? It's like some people who are parents, they can put up with their own kids' crap, right? But if another kid behaves like their kid did, they have no patience for it. It's like I love my kid, but then if I see other people's kids, I'm like, would you just get your kid in line? I'm like, that's how it is with your board members and your nonprofit. You're their kid, They're like, oh, but my kid is special. And they're willing to put up with the lack of communication, the lack of updates. They have a greater threshold for all of your BS and your excuses. But they are not going to allow their business partners to have to endure the lack of communication. You see? Because they're like, oh, because it isn't that great. Ugh. Does it hurt? Because it's probably true if it hurts your feelings. I say maybe what people are not willing to say because they're trying to get paid. You know what I'm saying? But I'm good if you don't pay me a dime. I'm really trying to help you. So I'm willing to say what might get me fired. You dig? You hear me? If people are not organically, if you deliver on your promise, right? If you're effective and you say, hey, we actually changed lives this year. This is what we did. You helped to make that happen. If you don't have time to do that, you won't have donors. It's okay. You'll have time later because they'll all be gone. And if you report back on that, if you communicate, and some of you maybe communicate, but your communication kind of stinks, right? Maybe it's just a little too boring, but you're not actually boring. But somehow when you write, you're like putting people to sleep. You're putting yourself to sleep. You can't bring yourself to write this freaking boring ass email. Like, hey, how about stop doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, write like how you talk and arrive at the point. Forget your whatever the professionalism is for your organization. Forget it. Just throw that out the window. The people who wrote that code of conduct thing, they don't know anything about donor relations anyway. Okay. What are they going to do? They're going to enforce it after you've raised millions of dollars. Hey, the way you write emails, it doesn't reflect. No, they're not. Nobody's going to complain. Write an email like how you talk and arrive at the point, especially in December. Get to the point. Ask yourself the question, what is the main purpose of this email? What am I actually trying to do? And be clear. Hey, I'm reaching out because you said you're going to do this, and I want to follow up to help you get it done. Do you intend to still complete your gift this month? Do you intend to give in 2023? What is your plan for giving in 2023? You have yet to give this year. What is your plan? There are a million ways to say it. I've said them all the ways, but you need an answer, right? Put it in the chat. I need an answer. Let's stop with the guessing games. Let's stop with the beating around the bush. Let's stop pretending. No. We need to know, are you going to give? Yeah, and Allison, if that's the case, right, they don't trust you, then think about how might we be able to build trust and even ask your donors, right? And this is why it takes courage. This is why it takes courage. Haha. Hey, what would it take for us to build trust with you? What would it take for us to build trust with you? That is a fabulous question. And get ready for the answer. And then if you ask that question, you actually have to do something about it. You can't just ask it and then nothing changes. Are you hearing what I'm saying? This is about integrity. We want people to go the extra mile for us. We want them to give and give and give and give, but we don't have time to communicate with them. Not on my watch. Be real. I need an answer. Yeah, we all need an answer. I have a donor who said she'd make introductions, is now ghosting me. Ha ha. Great question, Kara. Anybody else been there? Put in the chat. Been there. Or I'm there right now. I feel you. I really do. I mean, I've been there too. I'm like, what happened? So one-line email. One-line email. Hey, haven't heard from you, Abby. Everything okay? I guess that's 2 lines. That's it. That's the whole email. Hey, Janet, haven't heard from you in 6 months. Oh, yeah, I say that. Oh, yeah. Everything okay? Oh, Kara, it works every time. Works every time, baby. You better email me and tell me how it goes because they're going to come back to you and be like, oh my gosh, Kara, I'm such a terrible person. And what will you do? You will handle it with grace. You'll say, hey, I get it. Life happens. It's all good. I completely understand. Life's been happening for me too. Right? Don't we want grace from our donors? Don't we want grace from our board members? Don't we want that? Let's do that. Let's do that for them. Okay. Go prep for the meeting. You got it. Okay, Sarah. Sarah, hello. I have a donor who pledged 10K and just sent a check for only 5. Haha. Another great question. Oh, you guys, you're asking great questions. Sometimes questions, they are stupid questions. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm joking. Is it okay if I have fun? Is it okay? Sarah. So this is great. Are you ready to take notes? Are you ready? I hope you're not multitasking. Close the tabs, y'all. For real. This is for you, babe. Okay. This is December 12th. Okay. I'm helping you out here. I would pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, donor, I just got your 5K check in the mail. Amazing. Thanks so much. I was planning on asking you for 10K. That's what I would say. And pause and let them respond to that. Oh, you said pledged. So I would even say, hey, I saw the 5K come in. My understanding is you pledged 10. Do you plan on, so give them the benefit of the doubt. Do you plan on sending an additional 5 this month? And just get clear. Don't assume that it was just only 5. But even in conversation, right? And my clients know this. I'll say, if a donor comes to you and they're like, "Oh, well, here you go. Here you go, Helen. Here's 10K," and you were planning to ask for 25, right? Has that ever happened? You're like, "Oh my gosh." Yeah, of course it is. And so I will go to them and say, "Hey, actually, I saw the 10K come in. Thanks so much. I had a different idea for you. Do you want to hear it?" Man, I'm giving y'all the goods today, okay? And some of you, I'm going to tell you what to say, but you don't have the guts to do it. You see how it's coming down to that? That's why I created a program called Courage Lab. I'm going to tell you what to say, and some of you are not going to do it. Because you need to become a courageous person. It's not because you need to know the tactics or what to say. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? It is about becoming more courageous. In order to implement what I'm teaching, you're going to need guts. And lucky for you, I also teach that. I did not come out the womb like this, you guys. Okay. This was forged in the fire of tribulation of so many reps. Because I told you I had a lot of reps. I say, "Hey, Matt, thanks so much. I saw your 10K come in. I had a different idea for you. Do you want to hear it?" What's Matt going to say? He's going to say, "Yeah, sure." I know Matt. He's going to say, "Yeah, I want to hear it." And I would say, "Okay, so my plan, based on our goals, based on the fact, and this is based on, right? Based on the fact that Matt, you are so bought into our mission, based on the fact that you've been loyally giving for the last 7 years. Hello. Based on the fact that I know you care about what we're doing, my plan was to ask you for $25,000. And then after you say the number, you shut up. Stop talking." Yeah, Leslie, I see your eyes. This is why it takes guts. People don't do it because they don't have the guts. Put it in the chat. It takes guts. I want you to understand. And this is good news, John, Matt, Shireen, Abby, Killian. Do you hear me? This is good news because you have control over whether you remain a coward or you become a courageous leader. You have control over that. Man, it takes Julie's brain. Yeah, channel me as your alter ego. Go in there and be like, "Okay, I'm going to get this money." Go ahead. If it helps you, I'm all for it, whatever it is. And it's ethical, obviously. And they'll say, 25K, huh? Okay. 25K. They'll react however they react, right? Wow. All right. I mean, I've done this myself. I've literally said to people, "Oh, that's great. You wanted to give 25. That's awesome. My plan was for you to do something much bigger. Do you want to hear it?" Ooh, the anticipation. And this is with someone who I have a relationship with, right? I'm not just going to some random rich person who doesn't know me and doesn't know the organization. I'm not talking about that. And I'll get on the phone. If somebody gave and I ask them for much more, I'll straight up ask, like, "Hey, I saw that you gave, 30K last year, you gave 50, and I know, like, my understanding was you were planning to give 50 again this year. Can I know why you decided to give 30? What am I going to tell you? It takes guts. And then they'll say, "Oh, well, actually, these are the reasons why." Whatever they'll say, they'll tell you why, because you're asking. If you don't know why, it's because you don't ask. And then you can handle it with grace. Completely understand. I know that things change. I know life happens and things come up. It's completely understandable. We're so grateful for your continued support, even through all of that you're going through. It's amazing. Yeah, Matt, great question. Key openings. So I have a script. I do have a script. And I'll make sure to send it to you all in the follow-up email that you can use. Yeah. Oh, how you get through your name, your organization, why you're calling. I'll repeat it. No, I don't have a script for that. That's your gig, right? That's your job. I mean, I don't know you, so I couldn't say, but if it was me, I would say, "Hey, I'm Julie. I've been here for 18 months. I'm new. You're not, you know. Um, and I know you've been giving for however many years." I would come with that. And I just want to start off by saying thank you. Um, yeah, and then, I would it depends on what you're asking for. If you're calling to get a gift, um, I mean, and it's your first time talking to them, that's tough, and I would ask like, "Hey, why do you give? How did you first get involved with the organization? Why do you give?" And then you use their why in your ask, right? So that's what I teach in Courage Lab is when you're a good listener and you understand why someone gives, then you basically repeat that back to them in the ask. So, based on the fact that you, had whatever your organization is, you have a personal connection to what we do. You really care about the local community. You care about conservation, blah, blah, whatever it is. Um, I'd love for you to consider giving $10,000 this month. Like make it time bound, right? Because we need the money now. Unless you don't, then don't ask for something this month. Just don't. The reason the calendar might matter is because donors might care about it, right? For tax purposes and tax planning. But otherwise, if you don't have to ask someone this month, then don't. Just thank them. Just send like a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever season's greetings to them and tell them you appreciate them. That's it. Like, if you don't have to ask, then don't ask. Yeah, Andre, that's great. Be authentic. My favorite thing, get on the phone. Pick up the phone. If you can, pick up the phone. It's too late in the game to schedule meetings. People are not going to probably schedule anything with you between now and January 1. So just call them. Scared to do that? Interesting. Yeah, that's because it takes courage. I know. I know. I know. But if you pick up the phone and you call people, you teach them how to relate to you. So you teach them this is normal. I pick up the phone, I call. We talk. And, you can call them and ask them for their decision. Hey, earlier this year, you mentioned you're planning on giving at the end of the year. I'm just following up on that. Here's where we're at. Here are our goals. What's your plan? That's what I would do. Just pick up the phone. If you have their contact information, obviously. If not, then, email. But again, in the email, like get to the point. Like if it's about getting their decision, then just ask for that. Yes, Amber, that's awesome. Okay, question. What's the best way to ask donors to match what they did last year if they are 2/3 of the way there and have recently given? Uh, you see so far this year you've given this. Last year you gave that. Would you give an additional blah, blah, whatever the math is? If you're asking for the same amount though, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, if they're continuing to give, then like, why are you asking for the same amount? Are your goals the same? Probably not. I don't know why. Because it takes guts. Do you think it's effective at this time of the year to ask for a meeting in January to discuss the impact of their 2021 given what the plans might be in 2024? Sure, go for it. Yeah. Why not? Meetings are great. Would it be smart to make calls to donors just to say thank you for supporting us? Does it really make them feel like they should keep coming back? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say a best practice is if somebody gives, like the moment that they give, either call them or email them personally and just say, hey, we just got your gift in. Thank you so much. Blah, 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 blah. You're amazing. Blah, 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 blah. Do that within 24, 48 hours. 24 ideally, right? Because if you don't, what you end up communicating without it's unintentional is, oh, we just get so much money in here, we don't even notice your $1,000. It's not a good look, you know? It's not a good look. Do you not feel that donors are ever turned off by calls? With everyone assuming that random numbers are scammers. This sounds like a question from someone who doesn't call donors. So you wouldn't know, would you? Um, no shade. I'm just letting you know. If you're calling to actually thank someone, no, I don't think that that does any harm. Absolutely not. They'll probably love it and you will stand out because, again, the vast majority of the sector complains that we don't have time to do stuff like that. So basically, no one's doing it. So it's a very simple way to stand out because likely your major donors are giving to multiple places, aren't they? Yeah, leave a message, of a thank you message for sure. And that's something you can delegate to your board. Hey, the ones who are down, the ones who are like catalytic and enthusiastic and articulate that you trust, you have a great relationship with. Hey, this person just gave. Can you call them and just leave a voicemail basically? And if they answer, it's going to be a like 60-second, 2-minute call where it's just like, hey, I'm Jessica Love. I'm a board member at Daring Girls. I'm calling to say thank you for your donation. I know that you just gave. We really appreciate it. Imagine this isn't like some like, what's the secret? Ooh, like not just, I mean, people just don't do it. Like, I mean, this is something that people talk about all the time is doing thank you calls, but we just don't do them. I mean, they absolutely work. So yeah, leave it. Even if a board member leaves a voicemail or someone like anyone from the organization is like, hey, saw that you gave, just calling to say thank you, it goes such a long way. I mean, imagine if you donated to a nonprofit and they called and left you a thank you voicemail, right? Imagine if the board chair left a voicemail on your machine. It was like, hey, I'm the board chair. And you donated yesterday. How kick ass is that? What's a good retention rate? What is the average? Isn't it like so low? It's like 26% or something like that was like the most recent, or 20 to 40 in that range. There's a lot of turnover. Yeah. Because for some that Here's why we're obsessed with new donors, because we're afraid to reach out to the ones we have. And we assume that they're giving the most they can. And I'm telling you that they're absolutely not. You're expecting people to read your mind. Oh, well, we're a nonprofit that exists in the world and we're doing great work. So don't they know we need money? They should just know. They should just give. If they have hundreds of thousands of dollars to give, they should just give it to us. They should just read our ever loving mind. It doesn't work like that, right? Doesn't work. You have to communicate what you need. You have to communicate your goals. You have to keep people in the loop, and you need to ask. Part of why we need to ask is because it's personal. Giving is personal. And because people need to understand you're asking them because of who they are, not just because they're rich. And it also demonstrates trust and credibility. Like, oh, these people are for real. They can be trusted with more resource because they're not scared shitless to raise money, especially from someone like me who's a softball and has already been donating for 17,000 years. Why would they give you more money if you don't even talk to them about money? Like, it's crazy. Oh, please trust us with more, even though we're terrified. Please. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And that behavior somehow proves that you're doing good work in the community. Like, you don't even realize the ways in which you're unknowingly undermining your work. Do you see? Like, the world is small, and like, this is about reputation and integrity. Like, do it. Like, you took this job and it's actually a social contract with yourself and your employer to freaking raise money and build relationships with people. Like, that's your job. You said you would do that. So like, anything else that's keeping us from doing those things, it's noise. And it's actually a waste of resource. It's unethical. Seriously. And you don't actually pay the price by raising money. When you're uncomfortable, you pick up the phone. You're not sure if somebody's going to like you, if they're annoyed with you, if you're bothering them. Really, what you don't even pay the price. That's not even a price to pay. The ultimate price is paid by the community you serve. They pay the price when you don't raise the money because you don't have time. And I'm giving it to you straight, hoping that this will actually spark you to pick up the phone and call people. Maybe you were thinking, they're good. I don't need to call them. Oh, I don't need to do that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Even if it's to say like, hey, thanks so much. Like, just connect with people as human beings. Like, they're not gonna come after you, like, like if they already gave, like, come on, dude, this is a softball. Like, they already gave you money. And you're like, oh, should I call? And they gave you their number. I'm reflecting back to you so that you can see yourself more clearly. We really see ourselves more clearly when we're in community with others. And I'm telling you that these challenges are not unique. You're not alone in that. So let's not judge ourselves for it. Let's actually take action. So I want you to put in the chat, what is one action step? I know you want to overhaul maybe everything. Okay, I get it. Slow your roll. What's one action step that you can take within the next 24 hours? That's a stipulation. Do not put this at the bottom of your to-do list. That's a surefire way for it to never get done. Do you hear me? If you want to raise more money, put it at the top of your list. Stop making excuses that you got to do all this BS that is not revenue generating. If you need to raise more money, put it at the top of your list. Do it first thing. Make it a priority. You will raise more money when you ask people for more. Call your donors. Yes, call. Manuscripts for converting major goes to legacy givers too. Just ask them, Shireen. You know what to do. Hey, would you consider leaving us in your estate? There you go. That's what you say. Go ahead. Let's see if you do it, Shireen. There you go. I gave you what to say. There's your script. This is the story of my life. I give so much away for free. There, if you want to raise hundreds of thousands and millions for free from all of my content online, you can. You can. I give so much away. It's fine because I actually want to help you. But will you do it? You know what I'm saying? Will you do it? That's the real question. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? It's personal. It's personal. It's not your organization and all their bullshit culture and rules and toxicity and blah, blah. No, no, it isn't. Are you about it? Or do you keep wishing and hoping and praying that people will read your minds? Stop talking about it and go be about it. Just go get it done. People are generous and they will show up for you if you appreciate them. That's true in life, right? Isn't it? In your interpersonal relationships, when you feel valued and appreciated and seen, don't you show up for those people? Yes, of course you do. That's what your donors are going to do. They want to help you. You know, there's people who don't give anything to charity. Not a dime. They exist. They don't have to give. You might think whatever you want to think about rich people. You might think, well, they're this successful business person in our community and they're a multimillionaire. They should be giving to us because we're so good. We're freaking angels. And that attitude sucks and it's not going to raise you any money. Imagine the people coming to your program and you tell them that same attitude. Well, you know, you're poor, you're this, you're that. You're lucky that we're in your life and we're doing this for free. So suck it up and do what we say. That's how we treat donors. You see what I'm saying? How can we actually claim to be an organization that's about integrity and dignity and justice when we take people for granted in revenue generation? Or we treat them like we're like, oh, they're going to keep giving because we're awesome. We need to like actually connect with people. And that's how you can stand out. Do you hear me? That's how you can stand out. If you just treat people like humans, if you just care about them, if you just remember them. Isn't that what we want? We want to be appreciated. We want to be seen. Don't you want to be seen? That's what your donors want. What a tremendous value add. Even if your organization and your mission is not their number one cause. And some of you, that's your complaint. Well, they do all these other things with we're not their favorite. We're not their number one. Who cares? How can you become number one in their heart? Because of who you are and how you show up and how you love them and how you care for them. Are you about it? Or are you just going to keep dreaming about it and just keep hoping and wishing and praying that they will read your mind? Yes, appreciated and seen. Absolutely. Send videos in your emails. Why not? See if it works. Test it out. Try it for, send it to a couple handfuls of people, a handful of donors. See how it goes. If you get any response, if people are like, hey, this is awesome. Or if people don't care. Or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Like, find out. Like, why not? Have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you're going to do that you have energy around to do that's going to bring your donors closer to the mission, do that. Like, whatever it is that you'll actually do. Like, if I could tell you what to say and the best tactics and all that, but if you don't actually do it, what good is it? Here's what I'm going to leave you with. If you know, I am afraid, and I'm bumping up against that. There is a limit to our fundraising results as a capacity, as a result of my capacity for courage. If you know that that's you, I'm going to encourage you to sign up for my program, Courage Lab. Okay. If that's not you, don't sign up. Okay. But if that is you, there's nowhere else you can go to get this fixed and have it be focused on fundraising and real major gift results. It's sad, but it's true. So if that's you, I'm telling you, I'm imploring you. I know that I will help you. That's your next step. For some of you, you have huge goals and you're not afraid. You just need a plan and a guide. So that could be me. If that's you, I want you to check out my website. If you're trying to figure out how much do I ask someone for, I have a free major gifts calculator on my website, julieordonez.com. How many of you have used that before? You've already used it. Say yes. Yes in the chat if you've used it. So it'll tell you how much money you're leaving on the table with a donor. And you can use it multiple times if you want, but it'll tell you exactly what you should be asking for. And it takes into consideration all of these factors that I work with my clients on. How much do you ask for and what matters? So it'll ask you about, to what extent does the donor trust you? To what is their capacity financially, right? How mission aligned are they? It takes into account all the most important factors and then spits out a number for you in 60 seconds. So that might be the help that you need. Go do that. And then ask for that money. Listen to my podcast. It's free. It's public. It's available to anyone. It will be like a shot in the arm and more of this, basically, of what you just experienced. That's my podcast. And I'm going to send you my notes from this, and I'm going to send you those scripts, Matt, that you asked about for calling people. And if you have more questions, I'll hang out longer if you want. Ask me more questions. I'm good. If you got to go, all good. Thank you, Andre. There's no pressure at all, but I'm here to help. Thank you, Julie. Mind blown by your straightforward advice. Very grateful to have found you. You got it, Megan. When you talk for a living, I'm just like always drinking tea and water and all of the liquids. Oh, thank you, Janet. You're a gem. Need more podcasts when you're recording it. I know. Matt. Ah. I'm featured on all these podcasts that are coming out, so there's that. But yes, this will be added on. Nat says you should ask questions. My 3-year-old is enamored with you. That's very sweet. Aw. Thank you, Julie. You're honest, courageous, even a little scary in the best of ways. Yes, I've been called way worse. For donor research, I don't like Wealth Engine. I hear you, Amber. The best donor research you're going to get is from your donor's mouth. So if you ask them questions, which is like, right, it's not scalable, but it's the best way to go deep. So, I would ask them like, why do they give? This is part of what you get when you sign up for Courage Lab is this powerful questions cheat sheet. It's my client's favorite tool. And it's all the questions that I love to ask major donors. One of them is like, why do you give? Why'd you start giving? Another is, what organizations are you involved with? Where do we fall in your philanthropic priorities? Like if they say, oh, we give to this organization, and they're like, oh, that's amazing. Where do we stand? Takes guts, doesn't it? Are you noticing a theme? People don't want to know. Or they think they already know, actually. They assume. They're like, oh, we're not the favorite. Oh. I'm scared. But yeah, I like to ask people because ultra high net worth individuals are even savvier in terms of keeping their information private. They'll give anonymously, and there's a reason for that, which is also interesting when people don't give anonymously, right? Because especially major donors understand that that is an option for them. So when they opt in, they're like, yeah, you can put my name on whatever. Interesting choice, right? So, but even like concealing certain real estate assets or different LLCs, different assets of their wealth, right? 90% of wealth is non-liquid, meaning it's not cash. 90% of wealth in the US is not cash money in a checking account. It's in real estate, it's in businesses and equity, it's in stocks and securities. So there are ways in which people can conceal all of that and their private information. And especially nowadays, right? Privacy is the ultimate luxury. So asking people in one-to-one, a lot of your ultra high net worth donors, or even just major donors, even if they're not high net worth, but the major donors will tell you one-to-one because it's a private conversation, right? They might be, if there's a relationship there, there's trust, they know you're not going to blow it up on Twitter or something like, then they're more likely to share with you like, oh yeah, we give here and there, and we helped fund this wing of a hospital, or who knows what they're going to tell you, right? But they'll tell you to your face, more likely, and that's the best way. I Google things. There's, that said, right, there's so much on the internet that's public. And oftentimes, if someone's giving from a family trust or a charitable foundation, a family foundation, you can go onto guidestar.org and you can look up their family foundation and see their 990. And it will tell you all of the grants that they issued, the most recent 990, if it's 21, 22, there's probably nothing out for this year yet, right? So you'll see, oh, wow. In 2022, they gave away $2.3 million and they gave it to 21 different nonprofits, and they gave us $7,000. I mean, you can see. So a lot of that is publicly available, and you don't need you just need Google, right? You don't need anything. And GuideStar Candid is just a free account. So I do that with my clients I work with one-on-one. Is I'll go and do some research and look at like, who are these people? Where else are they giving? And there's certain things you can search in Google that will lead you down the right path, but you do need to know how to look for it. And that's something that is a module and a session inside Courage Lab, is how do you actually do major donor and prospect research? Whether it's like someone new or it's a current donor and you're getting ready for a meeting, right? Or you're getting ready to call them or email them, like being able to research what's going on with them. I'm fundraising for my church right now as a volunteer. And we were going to ask Starbucks for something, but right now Starbucks stock is down, and they're like not handling the conflict in the Middle East the way that a lot of people would like them to. And so they're kind of up against it. They're laying people off. There's some turmoil with the company. And it's great to know that before you reach out to a Starbucks executive, right? You see what I'm saying? So even just like that is helpful to know. Or like, do I even want to reach out to Starbucks? You see, those kinds of things can help you to make those decisions. I hope that's helpful. I don't really love Wealth Engine either, and people don't really know how to interpret it. And it seems like their customer service and like customer success isn't like Like, hey, what does this code mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know these words. And like, so, yeah, I hear you. It's, can be a challenge. How do I talk with my ED who literally said today that we should approach the local wealthy people? Ah, yes, the local wealthy people. I'm glad you're to look forward to the end of my day. I'm Eastern time. Thank you for hanging with me, Helen. I know it's ending. You got to have a happy hour after this. Do you want to come off mute? Or can you?
I guess I can unmute myself. Yep.
Oh, hello.
Hey,
Hi. Thanks for your question. What is your role?
I'm the manager of donor relations for a small nonprofit that works on peace and conflict studies,
Wow.
which is why it's called
Awesome.
Project Plowshares.
Uh-huh. And and do you report to the ED?
I do.
Uh-huh. What is y'all's annual budget?
Just over $1 million.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Small.
So you're likely doing the work of a development director.
And I'm the first one they've hired full time, and I started 4 months ago.
I see. Okay. Okay. Um, and you should approach local wealthy people, like meaning to ask them to give right now.
Uh, yeah, right now, soon, like people who don't currently support our organization, but are local wealthy people.
What was the context for that comment?
I was laying out the plan for 2024, and he let
See.
me talk for a while, and then he said, "But I have a suggestion. There are some very wealthy people in our city. Why are we not making a plan to get in touch with them?"
Right. Okay. And so
And
what was your
I thought
response?
I thought I had avoided that by talking about the things I know, that, we need to build relationships with our existing donors, that we should look at people who are lapsed and try to bring them back in, that we have a lot of work to do on particularly those two fronts. And then he said basically, but I know who some of the wealthy people are in this city. I think that we should figure out how to contact them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, um, part of so part of your role is to manage up to this person and kind of help oversee development, even
Yeah.
though I understand that may be beyond your job description. Um, but that would be my suggestion. And to task your ED with that. Like, great, you think we should do that? Sounds like what you're going to do.
Hmm.
You see? And then who do you have in mind? So essentially acting as sort of a project manager. Or it sounds like maybe you have specific people in mind. Who are you thinking of? Because it's very vague.
Yeah.
Local wealthy people, right? Like just the signal of a total amateur. There's wealthy people out there, right? Let's go get the wealthy people.
That's why I enjoyed your seminar, because you said something like that earlier, that they could, the idea of
Right.
the shiny, idea. And
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So let's make it really real and then project manage that. Okay, great. So sounds like you know who they are. Then why don't here's what I'll do, right? And you can decide what you're willing to do to support that. Whether it's like, if you need me to write the email for you that you're going to send to them, right? If they're connected to these local wealthy people, then maybe they already have their contact information. So sounds like something we could do starting in January. Who are the first two
Yeah.
people that come to mind that you want to reach out to, right? Put them on the hook for that. Okay, great. What support do you need from me to get that done?
Yeah, I
But
love that.
totally put that
Yeah.
on them. Like
Yeah.
if someone, and you can do, this is a trick you can do with board members also. Board members are well-meaning, right? They might come to you, they have lots of ideas. Oh, amazing. Why don't you run with that?
Yeah.
Right? So don't think of it, Helen, like, oh, now this is all of a sudden something that I need to do, right? But it's like, okay, I hear you. I think that could be great if, especially if you already have some sort of connection with these people, then it makes sense you would be the one to reach out.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that because I didn't want to argue with him, but I'm thinking, but that's literally not the best way to fundraise. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. And I think you can, again, has to do with managing up, right? You can
Yeah.
temper their expectations. Like, hey, that is something we should do, but it can't be the top priority because it's a long game. So it could be
Yeah.
something we do regularly. And I like the idea, right? You're not shutting it down, but you're basically saying, it's going to take time for them to go from not even knowing who we are, or basically just knowing about us, but not really knowing us, to
Yeah.
now they're investing, right? That's going to take some time. So for some, it might be pretty quick. They might be like, oh, I've heard of you guys and I think what you're doing is amazing. I'd love to get involved. Here's $1,000. And it might just be one meeting and that happens. But it's your job, Helen, to be like, hey, look, ED, that might happen, but it also might take more time for others, right? Because every person is different. And the way in which they develop relationships, the information, the experience they need to trust us with their money, it's going to be different for everybody. So for some, it might take a year, right? We don't know. But it's totally worth integrating into your strategy. It just shouldn't be the number one priority.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Julie. I really appreciate that suggestions about language and how to respond to him because I don't think he's going to let it go. So I'm going to have to, as you
Totally.
said, make it part of our strategy.
I
Yeah.
hear you. Yes. And it sounds like because he's not going to let it go, he can be the one to really push it forward. And you can kind of check in and offer support as needed. But you're constantly making the case like, because you're connected to these people, it seems like, and you're also the ED, it makes sense that you would reach out.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then it's, you're working as a team and it's not all on your plate. You probably have so much on your plate. So yeah, that's great. It's a great question. Thank you. Thank you, Helen.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts on it.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. Okay, let's see if I can do maybe rapid fire or take on more. Is there a way to get board members more active to help with fundraising? Yeah, Amber, that's a great question. Is she still here? Maybe not. Have to jump. Okay. Can I ask for advice when donors say they don't plan to give more? Catherine, are you asking me for advice or do you want to ask the donor for advice? Can you clarify?
May I speak?
Of course.
Hi, thank you. There's something so funny going on. Every time I look at my avatar, the image is different. It's like changing who I am every time. Yes, I mean advice from you. I attended one of your webinars a couple months ago, and I've really been taking the courage to heart, and I've made some big asks, and some have
Good
been
for
super.
you.
Asking somebody who gave $100 a couple times a year and then said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about a bigger gift, and said 5,000. And we agreed to 14.4, which was a big deal. And $25,000 gifts. So thank you.
Wow.
So I made my big ask just yesterday, based off of your last webinar. I made the goal to ask this donor who I know has capacity and has been very loyal to us for many years, but he gives, 20, 25 over the year. And I made a goal to ask for 100. And actually,
Wow.
I wanted to ask.
I love it.
Free. And I said multi-year, and he stopped me right there and he said, I don't give multi-year pledges. So I said, okay, let's talk about this year. The conversation went really well. It was very positive, but what I got out of that was essentially an answer I've gotten a couple times, which is, well, that's a lot more than I've given you before. And know, I have some organizations that I give a lot to, and some that I only give a couple hundred to, and, you know, some in the middle, and you're kind of in the middle. And, you know, everybody's asking me for more. And, you know, I tried to do some negotiating, came up with some other ideas. We kind of left the conversation. I could tell he didn't want to make a commitment on that day. So I left him with something to think about. But I'm curious, like, what is your response when people have that, like, well, that's a lot more than I gave you last year? You know, or that's not really I normally give you. You know, I've gotten that response a couple times, or everybody's asking for more right now.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say congratulations on stepping into a totally new era for
Yeah.
yourself
Thank you. That
and
was,
really taking all of this to heart.
Mhm.
And you're really a model for what I hope so many will do.
Thank you.
It's huge. Huge, Catherine. Huge. So what's coming up for me is your positioning is off.
Mhm.
This donor isn't, you didn't prime them before you made the bold ask. So what I mean by that is talking about your unique positioning as an organization, highlighting the ways in which you're effective at doing what you do and how you stand out from the rest of the organizations that they give to. And it takes real communication skills to be able to do that and to be clear about what that is. And if you're an exceptional organization, then you can ask to be made the exception.
Mm.
So when a donor says, well, I don't do that, right? I don't make multi-year commitments. There's a couple of ways in which you can handle that.
Mhm.
This is what I teach my clients. The first is get curious. Don't think that you've encroached on a do not enter trespassing zone, right?
Mhm.
Don't back off. Like, oh, why is that? Find out.
Mhm.
Likely there's maybe a really good reason. Maybe the reason is they're had some bad experiences and
Mhm.
has shaped their decision making. Or they don't really have a reason.
Mhm.
You will learn and they'll have to explain it to you. And then you can decide from there what you hear, right? And it's like, okay, so what I'm hearing is, and these are negotiation tactics
Sure.
by what is his name? Chris Voss. He's the FBI negotiator and he wrote Never Split the Difference. Such a great book. Definitely read it. I think you would really like it, Catherine. And part of the negotiation tactic is being a good listener and actually repeating back what you're hearing so that you leave room for the donor to keep talking. That's how you're going to get to a productive place.
Right.
So they'll let you know, like, oh, so the alternative way is to say, and this kind of goes with your other scenario of, well, we give to you in the middle, or everybody's asking for more. They're grouping you with everyone, right? And that's the problem. You're
Mhm.
not like everybody.
Mhm.
So and this has to be true.
We
What I teach my
are.
clients is like,
Yeah.
well, you've talked to me about all the places that you give. I know where you give. And they're all doing important work. What we do, we're the most effective at what we do. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that? That's what I say to the donor. Let's say your organization is education, early childhood education, let's say, like access. And you could say, if this is true, right? Or whatever your unique positioning is,
Mhm.
We're the most effective at what we do, and then say that power stat. And this is, again, I can't say for you what it is, and this is what I do in helping my clients. Whatever that power stat is, if it's like 9 out of 10 of our students get accepted into the best prep schools. I just made that up. You know, I don't even know who that is, but the idea is you're able to articulate really succinctly what it is that's your unique positioning. What makes you different? What makes you stand out? What makes you worthy of asking for more and being invested in at a greater, deeper level? So I kind of position the organization that way. Out of all of the education, I know you care about education. Out of all the education nonprofits that you give to, here's how we're different, basically.
Mhm.
Would you agree? And then they'll say, well, actually, I don't agree. I think actually what this organization does is blah, blah, blah. Then you learn so much, Catherine. You learn what the donor really cares about.
Yeah.
And then you can highlight that. Oh, you care about food access? Well, actually, we do that. And this is how we do it. That's an example, right? Being able to articulate the ways in which you're different and then get your donor to verify that, right? So you say, we're the most effective. 9 out of 10 participants graduate high school, or 98% college acceptance rate, or these are easy examples, but I don't know what it is that you do, and that's okay. Whatever it is that is the compelling reason why donors are like, wow, you.
Mhm.
And being able to position that, and then being able to say back to the donor what it is that makes them unique, and why them? Like, why are you asking this person for 100K?
Yeah.
When you do that, then you get in a league of your own. Then they're no longer comparing you to everyone else who's asking for more. You see, and that doesn't make you different. If what you do stands out, you've got to be able to position yourself in your donor's portfolio of all of the places that they give. Here's how we're different.
Mhm.
To clearly articulate that. And then you're positioned to be able to ask for 100K. Alternatively, you can say, well, the reason I'm asking you for more, and I should have made this clearer earlier, is because our goals are increasing, because our impact is increasing. We're committed to serving twice as many people as we did this year. That's why. Like, they should
Yeah.
already know that before you're naming the number anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of the conversation I did have. I
So then
sort
you have
of,
to repeat yourself, right?
yeah.
Leaders are repeaters. So
Yeah.
I basically say the same thing over and over again, Catherine.
Mhm.
Do you see that?
Mm.
It's the same. Oh, let's talk about December strategy. Oh, let's talk about fiscal year planning. Oh, let's talk about asking for the major gift. Let's talk about closing. Let's talk about, it's all the, I just basically say the same thing. I mean, that's what you're going to do. You're going to say the same stuff because it's not top of mind for your donors.
Right.
They don't have this memorized. They don't remember what you said. Right? So you'll have to say, well, the reason that oh, well, everyone's asking for more, but the reason I'm asking you for more is this.
Mm.
Our goals are to reach twice as many people. And hopefully you've already told them a story of one, right?
Mhm.
So just like Catherine. And I know that you care. You're one of our most loyal donors. You have demonstrated that you're going to be with us through thick and thin. I know this issue matters to you. You're extraordinarily generous. That's why I'm asking you for $100,000.
Mhm.
Now you're in a totally different position because the other organizations, they're not doing that. They're asking this guy because he's rich.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What a great question. A new CEO, okay, the last one. New CEO taking over for a 15-year founder asking about great ways to transition donors who have been traditionally previous CEO loyalists, helping them see my new leadership is worth continuing their giving. Yeah, I think that knowing who has credibility and influence with these people outside of the founder, and asking them to go to bat for you if they have relationships, but just reaching out and saying, you know, making that personal connection. Hey, I know that you've been involved for a really long time. I know that you're BFFs with the founder. I know that you started this organization with them. It's so important that I get to know you, that I build this relationship with you. You're integral to this organization and where we've been. And I want to do everything I can to get to know you. You're such an important partner. When can we meet? And the truth is, there's going to be some people who it's just time for them to go. They're not going to stay on maybe anymore, and that's okay. And some people, they will. They'll want to be involved and help out and get to know you. Yeah, it happens, you know, and it's tough going from that transition of founder now moving on to board member or whatever they are now to now you're stepping in. Yeah, and some people will maybe not take you up on that, or they're just not catching the vision or whatever it is, and you can release them. And some people will be interested to get to know you. And you know, if they gave because of the founder, I mean, I would interrogate that notion. That might be an assumption that you're making about a whole group of people because of what people have said, or they've told you, oh, these people they're like this, you know. I think go find out for yourself. Find out, ask people, why are they still involved? And ask them if they're interested in continuing to be involved. You know, and then see to what extent do they want to be involved moving forward. Find out. Like, hey, I don't want to take for granted that now there's a new sheriff in town and you're just all in still. Like, where do you stand? Where do we stand with you? Like, is this something you still want to be doing? Could be another approach. I think trust yourself with whatever it is that you think is best and just go for that. But don't make any negative assumptions about people. Like, find out for yourself, and you might be surprised to hear what they have to say. Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for staying long. This was awesome. I'm going to send you the replay. Thank you for the great questions, and have a great year end. Thank you.